We are in Budapest, the capital of Hungary. Right here, legendary Hollywood director Ridley Scott produced most of his last blockbuster, Blade Runner 2049. Ridley Scott didn't pick Budapest by accident. The city is home of a thriving film industry, which somehow embodies the potential of an economy that goes well beyond typical perceptions. Hungary has gained the name as a cost-competitive manufacturing base at the doorstep of Western Europe. For many years, groups in the automotive, electronics and other industrial sectors have flocked to set up shop here. This model paid large dividends in terms of growth and employment, but is inevitably going to lose steam as the economy converges towards European standards. Facing a looming middle-income trap, the government has pledged to turn the country into a hub for research and innovation. Domestic and foreign investors are already betting on the development of local talent to upgrade their Hungarian operations. Others have yet to follow suit. We are about to set off and look for early signs of this transition from made in Hungary to inventing Hungary. Come with us as we go on location. After joining the European Union in 2004, Hungary capitalized on its cost-competitive labor force and functioning connections with the rest of Europe to become a major recipient of foreign direct investment. The stock of fDi that the country has accumulated in the past decade has now become a major springboard for the development of local innovation functions, with global manufacturers strengthening R&D activity around their Hungarian production facilities. One of them is General Electric, which runs 11 factories, 4 research and development centers and 2 business services centers in Hungary, and launched its only European digital hub in Budapest in late 2016 to support the digitalization of its operations.
Historically, Hungary has probably punched above its weight in terms of engineering, technology, so a number of very important inventions come from Hungary. The carburetor, the Model T Ford was designed by a Hungarian, the Volkswagen Beetle, János van Neumann is basically the father of digital computing, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, all these things were invented by Hungarians. What we've seen is that tradition of mathematical, physicists, chemistry, that kind of analytical tradition is alive and well in the 21st century. Probably more importantly, Hungary has kept a lot of its industrial heritage. Within about half an hour from this digital hub here in Budapest, we have 3 large factories which we can go and test our technology on. The strategy of delivering and developing the industrial internet for GE from Hungary is just a perfect mix between the industrial heritage and the digital talent and skills force that we have available today.
The automotive industry has been particularly keen on turning Hungary into one of its main production hubs in Europe. German car producer Audi stood out among the first Western investors in the country. The group opened an engine plant in the town of Győr in 1994, and that facility has now grown into the largest engine factory in the world, rolling out about 2 million engines per year, and now also assembling various Audi models like the iconic TT. Audi's Győr factory is now gearing up to start the serial production of electric engines and thus spearhead the group's transition towards electric mobility.
Audi will launch his first electric car next year. We are very proud that our plant will build for this electric car a main part of the electric powertrain. We will build a new production hall for the electric engines. And actually we install the production equipment in this new hall. We have all the employees, all the experts for this new type of engine. It's a big challenge for us to start the production next year.
Hungary's foreign investment appeal has received an additional boost by the fiscal policy developed by the government in the last couple of years. Some of the draconian measures introduced to rescue the public finances after the financial crisis have been partially rolled back, and the tax rate on corporate income reduced to a flat 9%, which is the lowest rate amongst the 28 members of the European Union. I met with Peter Szijjártó, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, to discuss with him the government's ongoing push to improve the business environment across the board.
So far, we had to concentrate on manufacturing mainly. And now the Hungarian economy is at a change of dimensions. So instead of the made in Hungary period, we are arriving hopefully soon to the invented in Hungary period, meaning that from now on, the main issue is not how many jobs will be created in the future, because we are basically at full employment. The question is the added value of these new jobs, and the question is the technological level of the investments, and the question is how the new investments can contribute to the success of the Industry 4.0 revolution in Hungary.
Within the limits set by the European Union, Hungary has made large use of state aid to attract foreign investment over the years. The government is now refining the range of available incentives to steer up investment into research and development, which remains stuck at 1.2% of GDP, below a targeted 1.8% of GDP. Investors establishing major R&D centers can now access a cash subsidy covering up to 25% of the eligible costs. New incentives are also available to those who carry out technology-intensive projects that do not necessarily result in an increase of the headcount, but lead to an increase of productivity or revenues.
These kind of measures hopefully lead to a situation when more and more big companies put Hungary in consideration regarding R&D investments as well. I can tell you that big international companies are putting engineering centers, shared service centers, and digital centers to the country already, because we have a very clear agenda how to be forward, how to be in a more advantageous position than the general European situation. So by 2020, we will offer 100 megabit per second internet access on the entire territory of the country, and we would like to be among those countries where the 5G technology will be applied totally.
Looking forward, National Investment Promotion Agency HIPA believes that Hungary will retain a competitive edge over other countries in the region, particularly thanks to its renewed tax system, which increases the appeal of its competitive incentive and infrastructure offer, as well as its convenient labor force.
Well, I think after the introduction of this flat 9% corporate tax rate, which is the lowest in the European Union, we have been able to close a number of ongoing discussions with different investors. Strategically, it's going to be something that gives Hungary a competitive edge. We believe that the competition between the tax systems will become more and more a competition between nominal tax rates, because international regulation is pushing companies more and more to pay taxes where the value is created. And if we would like to attract value creation to Hungary, then we need to have a competitive nominal tax rate. So that's why I believe this 9% corporate income tax is something that will give us competitive edge over the longer term as well.
Hungary seems now in a position to make the most of its combination of favorable tax rates, incentives, and physical infrastructure to increase the quality of inbound foreign investment. According to a 2017 research by US tech giant IBM, the country is already punching above its weight when it comes to attracting high-value FDI projects. The same foreign investors are now contributing to nurturing local talent. One of them is Nokia Networks, which employs 1,400 engineers in the country's biggest research and development center in Budapest.
Budapest has always been traditionally strong in basic skills, basic mathematics, physics. And that was something that Nokia was looking for. Creating an R&D basis in a good price-value based area, like in Budapest. So that was the primary reason of the decision, and it worked out pretty well. We realized that not only the standard R&D works well here in this company and this ecosystem, but what we are really proud of, we could set up a very good university relationship with many universities. We are more or less on the lucky side of the story because we have a good brand. We can see that the output of the universities can be higher. I'm not just speaking about quality, I'm mainly speaking about quantity. That's why we are running the university cooperations, attracting people, undergrad students here, working on real projects.
To strengthen talent in the labor market, the government introduced dual training programs in higher education based on the German model, where students can combine academic learning with practical work experience. Nokia itself, today, has cooperation agreements with 13 universities across the country. In Dior, Audi teamed up with a local university to develop a faculty of automotive engineering. Foreign investors in Debrecen, a major industrial hub in eastern Hungary, also set up training programs for local youngsters. This is the facility of National Instruments, an American company that has been producing test equipment in Debrecen for 16 years. Students from Debrecen University have worked closely with the company in recent years, joining its Open Lab initiative where they can get professional help and advice to turn their ideas into practice. Cities like Debrecen are now strengthening their university-industry cooperation to make the most of their deep pool of talent and scientific knowledge and eventually improve their ability to innovate and attract investment. I met with Daniel, a participant at the Open Lab initiative that has been developing a very particular type of catwalk model, a robotic catwalk model.
This project was started when a girl asked us to make some robots to a catwalk because she wanted that the focus will on the backs and not on the model girls. She wanted robots who can walk in the catwalk with these backs. She found the National Instruments, and the National Instruments find us to give this project here in the Open Lab, because that's a real good place to do something like this. They had everything, and we had the knowledge, so we did this project, and these robot models was walking on the catwalk in a fashion show.
Hungary's investment drive is also pushing private infrastructure operators to upgrade their offer. Budapest Airport, the private concessionaire of the country's largest airport, is carrying out a 50 billion forint expansion to serve increasing cargo traffic, but also quickly growing passenger traffic. In fact, 2016 was a record year for tourism in Hungary, with almost 17 million people visiting the country and enjoying Budapest's beauties, a glass of Hungarian wine, and the dozens of historic and natural attractions scattered across the countryside. Hungary has come a long way to become a major recipient of foreign investment at the heart of Central Europe, since thousands of people gathered in this square in 1989 to seal the end of the communist years. Sustained economic growth has created room for the government to push through aggressive tax cuts to promote investment and research and development activities. As we saw, major foreign investors are already doing innovation on the ground, in Budapest as well as in other cities like Győr and Debrecen. The development of these functions and their links to local education institutions and business suppliers will be key to drive up investment into research and development and set the ground for the transition from made in Hungary to invented in Hungary to really happen. Now, I hope you enjoyed this tour across the country. Join us next to see where we go on location.